Tom Morrison. My friends call me Fritz. I've been reading about forever chemicals and PFOAs. So I'm getting rid of my Teflon coated non-stick pans and I'm replacing them with carbon steel, cast iron, this sort of thing. And if you went past all the reviews of people saying, I don't know how to season a pan, or this didn't work for me, and you went and bought carbon steel, then you're going to want to know how to season it. And it is, it's a science, but it's also a little bit of art. And we're going to go over that whole process today. So let's get started. First of all, this is the brand that I bought. You can see it is French. And this is the pan. So it comes coated, and we're not going to use the coating that it came with. It says it's a beeswax coating. We want to do something that we can cook on and polymerize, and then it will become the non-stick surface. And for that, we will be using today grapeseed oil. All right, it's a high temperature, high smoke point oil, and we can coat this on there, bake it on, polymerize it, which means basically turn it into a plastic coating using heat, and that will protect the carbon steel, which is iron, and it does rust, so you do need to protect it. All right, let's get started. First things first. Head to the sink and get a scrubby pad and some soap. Scrub the finish off of that they put in the factory. We're going to take that off, get it clean, and then we're going to put our own finish on it. All right, let's get started. I'll leave that running. All right, so I'm just scrubbing it with an abrasive, non-stick abrasive. Making sure you get all the soap and all the little cracks and crevices. And do the back side too. Okay, I'm changing to a different pad now. You get one chance to clean it right, so don't screw this up. Okay. That's pretty good. Rinse it really well. All right, so nice and clean. This will rust almost pretty quickly, so you want to get it dry. All right. So I'm gonna hit pause here and adjust the camera angle down to the stove so you can see what I'm doing. All right, cooking with fire. All right. So we got our pot. I'm going to turn on the heat. You can see that's a very hot flame right there. And I'm going to cook off that water. Take a paper towel. Make sure everything is clean and dry. We're going to get this pretty hot. It's hot now. I got a hot flame. The cast iron, carbon steel is hot. I'm going to take a little bit of grapeseed oil and I will put it in what is a very clean pan. That's not a lot. Now, that oil is getting very hot. I'm going to be careful. Take a paper towel. Wipe it around. Don't miss any spots. Also do the bottom. So if you've ever heated up sugar to try and caramelize it, if you've ever made peanut brittle or something like that, we're going to be doing something kind of similar. You want to get it hot and to this magic temperature, but you don't want to go past it and cook the crap out of it. So we're just we want to caramelize the oil. We don't want to turn it into carbon. All right, so let that cook. It'll start to, exhaust. You'll start to see some gases, and that is the oil hitting the smoke point. We're going to be cooking off some of the stuff, and this will start to turn brown and what I would consider beautiful. I'm going to have to turn on a vent so I don't set off the fire alarm. So excuse the additional noise. I'll keep that around in case I want to do a second coat. So you can already see it's starting to darken up and it's starting to smoke. I'm going to turn up the flame to hot. Alright, so we've basically just been cooking this for 2 minutes and you can already start to see it's browning. And that's kind of the magic happening right before your eyes. So I'm going to go around the edges because I also want the edges to brown. And we can go back and do a second and third coat if we need to. We probably will want to. You can use whatever type of coating you want, but you want a high smoke point oil or fat. You can use like bacon grease, which is one of my favorites for cast iron. You can use grapeseed, safflower, peanut. High smoke point is always good though. Not olive oil. Olive oil is pretty much the worst you can use in this situation. It has a very low smoke point. So we're getting that very caramelized color to it, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Now I'm going to go, I have some unevenness here. You can kind of see there's some unevenness, some dots and things like that. So I'm going to take my oil-soaked rag that I had before and just go over it. Careful, this pan is hot. It's starting to burn the paper towel. Yeah, so I figure I'll just run this in real time so you can sort of watch all this happening rather than me just skipping and editing, cutting out all the boring parts. You can experience the boring parts with me. This seems like a great time to tell you, hit like and subscribe. That helps me with the metrics and the analytics of the YouTube algorithm. It helps you. It gives you a better day. You're going to have a better day if you click like and subscribe. It's a proven fact. Again, I am Tom Morrison. My friends call me Fritz. And yeah. This video is being shot on iPhone 12 Pro, and I don't know if that matters to you. I think it's a pretty good video, myself. Alright, so this is a very, very hot pan. We're getting that beautiful caramelized brown. See that? That's pretty. It's pretty. We're going to keep going with it. We don't want to burn it. We don't want charcoal. We just want caramelization or, you know, polymerization. We want to turn the oil to plastic. Which sounds gross, but it's actually, in this case, it's good. It's non-stick, and it's not PFOAs. And PFOAs, also known as forever chemicals, are pretty gross, and they do terrible things to people and animals and everything. Now this is getting to the point where the coating is getting very, very dark, and you don't want to push this too far, otherwise you end up cooking off the polymer. I'm going to turn off the flame, and I'm going to add more oil. Very, very hot. Very, very hot. Careful doing this. If you do it like this, I would recommend using a tongs or something, because this oil is extremely, extremely hot. Let's take a look at the bottom. Oh, that's looking great as well. So the goal here is to protect the steel and create a non-stick surface. So for both of these reasons, you don't want any gaps or missing spots. You also want, you know, non-stick on the top, but also to protect against rust on the bottom. And this is looking really good. I'm going to crack the window since we're pumping a bunch of air out the exhaust, and it's winter time here, so I'm basically pumping all my warm air that my HVAC system produced out the exhaust. And so rather than do that, I'm going to open a window, let some cold air in, cold fresh air, and alright, that's getting sticky. When it gets sticky like that, that means that it's entering the phase of polymerization and that you shouldn't be playing with it until you cook off all the stickiness, and you get this very hard resin-like coating to it. That's the polymer. But while it's in this phase of cooking off the stickiness, you want to just not mess with it, because you can get unevenness, or you can actually remove some of the oil that's cooking off from portions of it, and then you'll have it in other portions and not certain portions. It's pretty bad. So basically, at this point, the rule of thumb is cook it off, don't mess with it. Again, we're going for that caramelized brown, approaching a gray or black, but you don't want to push too far with the heat, otherwise you will ruin the polymerization. You will turn it to charcoal and it'll just flake off, and then you'll have flakes of material coming off, and we definitely don't want that. That's basically, you ruin the whole process if you went that far. Now I'm going around the edges and putting the flame on the edges as well as on the bottom, because the edges matter too. And again, we're trying to, not only are we creating a non-stick surface, we're also protecting the pan from wanting to oxidize and rust. And rust is bad. So let's talk about cleaning your carbon steel or cast iron pan. We're avoiding PFOAs. PFOAs are usually applied to aluminum. Aluminum and PFOAs are considered easy to clean, except for they, make forever chemicals deposits in virtually everything, everybody, everywhere. So it's not what I'd consider clean. So how do you clean something that isn't a forever chemical? So the question is, what's your process when you're putting this on the stove, you're cooking food, and then you go to the sink when you're done cooking and you want to clean it? Well, the surface is pretty non-stick, so you really don't have to do a lot to clean it. And the heat itself will inoculate any viruses and bacteria, stuff that you don't want in your foodborne illness in your food you're about to cook. So heat does kill a lot of that, all of it really. And one thing we're going to avoid is soap. Because soap breaks down polymers, specifically natural oil-based polymers. Soap attacks oil, fats, and so we don't want to disrupt the coating that we just put on here by using soap. So instead, we're going to use water. You can use a little salt as an abrasive material, and we're not going to use any scrubbies or anything like that on this. We're going to try and treat this pretty gently. Treat it gently, and it will reward us with non-stick coating. And you can touch up the non-stick at any point, but you want to maintain the non-stick basis as long as possible. All right, so this is a beautifully done pan. We just did it right before your eyes. Took about 13 minutes, and that's it. So I'm going to turn off the fan. I'm going to adjust the angle on this camera, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit longer. Again, remember to subscribe and like on this video so that I can make more videos for you. And I'm going to do a lot more material like this, stuff I like to talk about, how-tos around the house, how-tos for gardening, how-tos for a more natural living. I also do some projects, construction projects, things like that. So like and subscribe. So yeah, we are going to be gentle with this. Immediately right now, it's very, very hot. So we're going to leave it alone for an hour or two. When we're ready to cook, rinse it off with hot water. Use any of your oils, but generally don't cook with olive oil. I've been told that it causes food to stick. My experience with cast iron is that it in fact very much causes food to stick, especially if you're like trying to cook an egg in a cast iron seasoned or a carbon steel seasoned pan. Olive oil is the worst. You will glue your eggs to the surface. It can be pretty ugly. Use clarified butter, use grapeseed, safflower, Peanut oil is great. It's a high quality oil. Anyway, so you cook like that. Then when you're done, your pan is cool. Bring it to the sink with a metal spatula or a non-stick spatula. Scrape off any of the chunks with some hot water. If you want to give it a good deep scrub, you can use some salt and really wipe down the surface with some salt, and then rinse it off. Let it dry. Make sure there's no chips in your surface so that you're not causing rust. You don't want to have it rusting. And then just wipe it off with a paper towel to dry it, or put it on the stove with some heat and evaporate the water. And then when it cools, you can put it back and store it for another day. One of the keys to living successfully with some of these finishes that you have to maintain is to use them frequently. So if you have cast iron, dedicate yourself to cooking with cast iron more frequently. Cook a steak in it, cook eggs in it, cook fish in it. Cook not pastas, because they tend to stick. If you're going to cook potatoes in cast iron, use a material that helps to keep it from sticking, such as cornmeal, because the potatoes want to stick to the carbon steel. So you got to use something to help you when you're cooking something like that so that it doesn't stick. There are some tricks to living with carbon steel, cast iron. Certain things you can do, certain things you can't do. Whereas the forever chemicals and the PFOAs, the Teflon coated aluminums, you basically can do whatever you want. Again, the only trade-off is that they're depositing chemicals in your unborn fetuses. That's not great. And there isn't a lot of news on the PFOAs, but there's over 10,000 different PFOA type chemicals, forever chemicals. Some of them we track, some of them we don't. They're everywhere, and we really need to cut down on the use of them. They have terrible effects on the human body, on every living thing's body. Not to mention they're in the water, and we can't easily filter them out. So we should probably stop using them. All right, I am Tom Morrison. Like and subscribe. I'll make another video for you, I promise. I will see you in the next video. Peace.